Episode 708. Wei Chen was working against the clock. His warlock quickly chanted another spell, and a streak of black light shot from his hand, snaking its way to strike 1-inch ash. This black light still dealt no damage, but when the warlock raised his hand, 1-inch ash was lifted into the air along with the motion. This was manipulation, another warlock skill. It could control anything the black light touched, and it continuously drained mana. The heavier the target being controlled, the more mana it consumed per second. Manipulating living targets like players came with its own bonus. It sounds like a highly entertaining skill, perfect for toying with an opponent, but in practice, it's incredibly easy to break. There's no way you can hold onto a target for several minutes. Even a few seconds might not be possible, because an attack can sever the spell's connection. So you either use this skill when the target is locked in an immobile state, or you quickly steer them to where you need them right after casting. Wei Chen, seizing the moment, controlled 1-inch ash as it rose into the air, ready to toss it over the wall. Floating up into the air, from the corner of his eye, Chao Yifan could already see a crowd of people on the other side of the wall, charging in with great enthusiasm. Throwing him over there would be no different from a lamb walking right into the tiger's den.
You think I'm not here?
Yi Shu let out a loud shout, and Lord Grimm slashed down with his sword in a head-on strike.
I knew you were there.
Wei Chen laughed, quickly withdrawing the black beam of light as 1-inch ash fell back from the air. He didn't hesitate, quickly ordering his warlock to dodge Lord Grimm's slash. But that brief moment of distraction was all his ragtag bunch needed to finally rush in. A Blade Master and a Striker launched themselves into the air simultaneously, vaulting over the low wall. Lord Grimm's slash landed, and he immediately spun around, unleashing a draw cut that sent the Striker, who had leaped diagonally from behind, flying back with a single strike. But the other Blade Master was out of Yishu's reach. The two hadn't leaped in shoulder to shoulder. They'd timed their jumps with a deliberate gap in both distance and rhythm, a precise spatial and temporal offset that made it impossible for Yishu to handle them both. On the other side, 1-inch ash had just landed from mid-air himself, his timing nearly matching the Blade Master's descent. Ice formation, Yishu called out. Xiao Yifan didn't dare to slack off and quickly summoned an ice soul.
Interrupt.
Wei Chen reacted quickly, immediately commanding his newly acquired subordinate. The Blade Master was incredibly obedient, instantly unleashing a draw sword slash that cut through the air. Xiao Yifan saw that the attack was coming fast. It would definitely land before he could finish his chant. He had no choice but to abandon the spell and dodge. Yet the ground still shimmered with a single line of light. A blade formation had manifested.
Slash.
At Yishu's command, 1-inch ash dodged the draw sword slash and immediately countered with a moonlight slash, the timing perfectly executed. The Blade Master couldn't dodge as he sheathed his sword from the draw slash, and the moonlight strike landed squarely on him with a brilliant flash. Then came full moon slash and ghost slash. 1-inch ash executed them in one seamless flow, 2 more strikes that sent the Blade Master directly to Lord Grimm's feet.
Lord Grimm stepped forward, caught the Blade Master in both hands, and hurled him straight at Wei Chen's warlock.
Wei Chen, much like Chao Yifan when he'd activated the ice formation, had no choice but to stop his spell casting and dodge the incoming Blade Master.
All the formations are up.
Yi Shu shouted as he fired another shot into the air, knocking down a guy who had just climbed back up. Wei Chen roared in fury.
Are you all lining up for a bus? Swarm them all at once.
At last, the Blade Master had an assistant, preventing the enemy from cutting them in two. But these subordinates were too useless. Not a single one managed to get through as a second. The only thing separating them was a low wall, and the players on the other side heard every word Wei Chen said, loud and clear. So they swarmed the wall, and on the count of 3, they all jumped over together. But then, a line of blue light traced an arc across the ground beneath the wall, then surged upward in a brilliant swelling wave, and every last one of those jumpers was sent flying skyward by the rising formation.
Damn it.
Wei Chen cursed furiously, but there was nothing he could do. Under Lord Grimm's cover, 1-inch Ash had already managed to open a flame array. Wei Chen's warlock was trapped inside the barrier. Dodging the fire damage was already taking everything he had. Where was there any chance to cast a spell? As for the Blade Master, there was no need to even mention him. Against a pro player, his only role was to draw aggro. But now, with a mass damage ghost array in play, he simply didn't have the skill to weave through the flame array's damage zones. He was getting roasted alive. Fortunately, the level suppression kept the damage from being too serious. They finally got new help, but the moment they arrived, Lord Grimm's Ascension Array launched them all into the air, tumbling and flailing every which way. Wei Chen could only watch and weep. Then, one by one, they came crashing down. Some pulled off a quick recover, some didn't, and of course, some who succeeded got flattened by the next person dropping on top of them. But Lord Grimm simply swept another wave slash across the ground. Those still standing were knocked down, and everyone outside the ghost array was swept right into it. Then came Silverlight Falling Blade and Grab and Slam. Neither was particularly deadly on its own, but the real nuisance was the area of effect knockback. Wei Chen's ragtag bunch got piled up layer after layer, unable to get back up. Watching this, Wei Chen felt like clawing Lord Grimm's eyes out. Meanwhile, 1-inch Ash kept dropping ghost arrays one after another. Crowd control, damage, all of it pitifully low on its own. But with that many arrays stacked together, it added up to something significant.
What's the point? With your levels, you're nowhere near enough to take us down.
The situation had Wei Chen and his crew looking pretty ragged, but he still had a good handle on things. Lord Grimm and 1-inch Ash's levels were ultimately their fatal flaw. They had control of the battlefield, but their damage output just couldn't turn that control into a victory. If both characters had been level 70 in a situation like this, Wei Chen would have surrendered long ago. But no sooner had the words left his mouth than an excited female voice rang out.
The one who hasn't logged off. Eat my cannon blast.
Then came a thunderous roar. That wasn't a cannon, it was a beam of light.